I think those were really formative years. I was like 14 years old when I started. It was most of my high school, and trying to go to a normal high school at the same time, but my life was really different from the other kids, and so it was fun being on set and being with other kids who like kind of understood, and so yeah, I don't know. Lizzie kind of changed my life. I feel like it was from then on. It was different,
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting how like when we were in New York, there was always this thing of like, oh, you're a New York kid. That means you're a better actor.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you're from New Zealand or from London, like you're a better actor. And,
yeah.
But it used to be like, oh, you're New York. You're like a real kid.
Yeah.
Like the real
train and
edgy kind of. Then it's like you come here, and it was like this entire industry is geared towards, you getting your next job, or if you're sort of a recurring, how can you become a series regular?
Yeah.
Like I remember on Even Stevens, some of our recurrings really celebrated when they got to become series regulars, because for them it was like, I'm advancing, like this time that I've put in is like leading to something. And like for me as sort of a principal person, I never really understood that. It was like a privileged viewpoint.
Right.
Where you're like, oh, that's strange. Why are they so excited about that? But it's like, they're still in a different trajectory.
Right.
So was it weird? Were you a regular, or were you?
No, I was recurring, and but we only went 2 seasons. I don't think people remember. Lizzie was like 2 seasons, but they were really long seasons.
I didn't know that.
They were like, I don't know. I think there was a total of 60 episodes, but they were split into season 1 and season 2.
What?
Yeah.
They don't have 65 episodes?
Or it might be 65.
They must have gone to 65, right?
I think they probably went to 65.
It's syndicated out the...
But it's only, so 2 seasons.
Okay.
So after the second season, the plan was we were getting moved to ABC. As like
I didn't know that.
It was going to be Lizzie going to high school,
what?
I guess.
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's crazy.
And then, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So, but then, that would have been.
Yeah.
Fun.
I personally think that, from what I remember, is that, Hillary really wanted to be a pop star.
Yeah.
And when we did Cadet Kelly, it was like she was such a vibrant, ambitious, and her mom was like such a powerhouse.
Yes.
I always say that like, what's her name? Oh, God, why am I thinking of the Kardashian? Kris Jenner.
She was the original Kris Jenner, right? I feel like.
She was the OG Kris Jenner, but with much more, I think, like of a conscience.
Right.
With her daughter.
There were no, none of that kind of stuff. But no, I always say that about Hillary and her mom. They were the first to kind of do the album, do the merch, do the dolls, they did it all. And it was largely because she's obviously very talented, but she's a very smart mom.
So smart.
Yeah.
Her mom and I sat next to each other, I remember, during Cadet Kelly, and her mom tried to teach me about how if you sit forward, someone else sits back. And like, I've never forgotten that, but I never could synthesize it because my managers and my mom, like they weren't of that mindset, pushing me towards understanding that this business is so much of the marketing branding strategy. And so when you have that in a stage parent, like how much more successful you can be, I think, in the long term. And of course, like I have no idea about, Hillary's mental health. Like unfortunately, I never got to know her that intimately.
Right.
And I'm sure like you guys were probably so young that you guys were just like working. And then also being friendly, which was like two different things.
Yeah. No, she honestly, I always say there's a few kids out there that just stayed so focused that they ended up okay. I would say like Keke Palmer, Hillary.
Good.
Kiki's
Tia and Tamar.
Yeah, they're doing great. Like some people just really know what they're doing. And by the way, Hillary's mom one time gave me an idea of a script to develop for myself. She was like, you need to be making your own projects. And how about this idea? And it was a great idea.
I'm sure it was. And Troy, she had Troy.
Yes,
was like
Troy was always around. I forgot about Troy.
Troy was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Troy was a tough, big, burly guy who was basically like her bodyguard and acting coach and life coach. And
just everybody's friend.
Yeah, he was like, did he work as your dialogue coach on the set or was he just Hillary's?
I feel like he was Hillary's, but
Yeah.
was helping everybody.
Wait, so I remember you distinctly being a mean girl on
Yeah.
this show. So when you popped up on my TV, I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I know Davida. Wait, she's being a mean girl. Aw. I was like, that's not her.
Yeah, that's so. Kate and I were the enemies.
Oh, gosh.
In the.
I was also
School.
a mean girl, Taylor
Yeah,
Duff.
yeah, you were, but you weren't. I feel like you weren't like as awful as we were.
Got it.
Maybe.
So you were meaner than
Yeah.
I was.
Someone, I think it was Jake that was like, what do you think about this question? Someone said your character was just so mean, like very one dimensional. And I was like, well, that's what they gave me to do. I would
Yeah.
just be walking down the hall and just saying something mean to
So mean.
someone. But it was funny.
Were you ever bullied? Like, because you
Yeah.
said when you were in normal school, your life was
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah, I went to an all-girls school.
Which school did you go to?
Louisville. It's in Calabasas.
Oh.
And I was bullied pretty terribly at that school.
I'll fight somebody.
So again, being around like actors,
Right.
and kids my age, getting to go to the Lizzie set, and everybody's like the same age as me,
Right.
and doing the same thing. It was like,
You felt seen.
yeah,
You felt that's so interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. And could you tell that there was a difference between like when you were in New York and when you were in California at all? Like, was there any kind of
you mean when I was in New York first?
Yeah, like
and then-
I always thought that the pacing in New York was so much faster.
it's so much faster.
And like when you're going to auditions, you're walking, you're subwaying, you're rushing.
I
you're
was telling her downstairs that I like the end of a New York day, I'm exhausted.
so tired.
So tired. So I definitely think LA is just an easier life.
So you would never live in New York, you think?
I might. I mean, I do love it.
Yeah. It's a
But
vibe.
You just you need a lot of money.
And a lot of energy.
and a lot of
I think I did go there and I think I was pretty exhausted. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very inspirational place for sure.
It is. It is.
Okay, so now Lizzie's done. And like you have people like, Miss Duff, Susan Duff, being like, you should do this. And what were your next plans? Did you have ideas for like working with Disney or?
I think right after Lizzie, I ended up doing a pilot with the Jonas Brothers, and it was for their show. They ended up having a series on Disney.
Yeah.
But then I just did the pilot, and they were supposed to be like superheroes, and I was like their enemy kind of situation.
Another mean girl.
They were
You're like the sweetest human being on the planet.
They were supposed to be like high school superheroes or whatever. And
Okay.
then when they ended up picking up the show, they completely took away the
Superhero.
concept. Yeah, and just made them, normal kids. So
This was like pre-Marvel.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
but I guarantee we would have had a very different Jonas Brothers experience.
So then
Did they also play music and they were superheroes?
Yeah, they were.
Shut
they
up.
were musicians.
That's way too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So they ended up not doing that and like changing the show completely. So then I didn't do the show. But after high school, I took a big break for a couple years, and I moved back to New York. Actually,
There we go.
yeah. And
I'm loving this right now.
Yeah.
I'm loving catching up with you.
Me too.
I really am.
I worked at Ford Models as like a junior agent.
What?
In their like commercial print department, because I thought maybe I wanted to try something in the industry, but not in front of the camera. And so
Yeah.
I was like, maybe an agent, which definitely not.
No.
That is
Why?
not- I think it's just, it's a pretty thankless job, I think. You work really hard, and there were some clients that, the department was pretty much all women.
Okay.
There were some women that were very sweet, and then there were some women that were not so sweet, and you have to kind of just deal with it, and like,
Yeah.
It's
It's like Devil Wears Prada kind of vibes.
yes,
In New
it
York
was-
of all places.
It was on Fifth Avenue, and
Yeah.
so
Well, Ford Models is like the
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren, like it's like been around forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Did they rep? Did they rep Brooke Shields?
I
feel like they
think
repped
so.
like the OG baby models.
they had everybody.
I
yeah.
just remember when I was a kid, I think I went to Ford Models and they told me that I had to grow into my nose. I got some really evil feedback that like destroyed my self-confidence for years. What is that like? I mean, did you have to give feedback to?
So I think
Okay.
I had two bosses in my division who usually would be in charge of that kind of feedback, but it was interesting. Like they taught me how to measure, like tape measure bodies.
Okay.
because models would come in and they'd measure them to see if they gained an inch or that kind of,
Wow.
thing.
An inch, right? Like that's really makes that big of a difference.
Yeah. So,
do you think it makes that big of a difference? Like,
no.
Okay.
You mean the?
Like, do you think that was just so random, or is it just like protocol?
I mean, it was definitely protocol. Like everybody was doing it. They always were measuring and weighing, and
it's crazy.
It's all those kind of things. But I'm so happy now with how so many of the industries have changed, modeling and acting, because there was just way too much pressure. Like way too much pressure. As kids and teens, they would tell us, like, you gotta. Were you ever told you had to like lose weight?
I was always very thin to the point where people thought I was anorexic.
Oh, okay.
And I actually just finished Jeanette McCurdy's book, and she had a legitimate.
I have to read that.
Please do. Like, send it to your friends. I bought it, and then I had to listen to it on an audiobook. I never, ever, I was so blessed to not feel that pressure.
Yeah.
But it's very real, and I'm sorry that happened. I did get teased in other ways. I got teased for my teeth. I got teased for my breast size. And these things, like, were semi-adjustable, but at the same time, it's like, still not great to have to experience body dysmorphia.
No, yeah, it's definitely starts that pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah. So you experienced that as an actor.
Thanks so much for checking out this clip for the Vulnerable Podcast. For the full episode, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. That link is in the description. Thanks again.